After everything has been said and done, I had to rethink what this video was all about. I initially thought it was going to be a test drive of the different GAC vehicles here in Guangzhou, China. What we got was a deep dive of what GAC has done, has been doing, and plans to do for the future. To understand where I'm coming from, you must see my experience through its chronological order. We first got to test drive the different GAC vehicles. Next, we visited their tech museum. Lastly, we visited their factory and R&D center. When we drove the different GAC vehicles in their setup test track, we were able to push their different vehicles to see where they placed among their contemporaries and how they held up. The GAC GS3 took advantage of its subcompact crossover stature to zip through the course despite belonging in a category that was meant for practicality. The GAC MQ may have been the bigger brother, but it performed similarly while still showing that despite its size, it can have a saloon-like drive that highlighted its level of driving comfort. The GAC M-POW R stole the show with its juvenile looks that actually lived up to its goal in being a sporty sedan that shows GAC has what it takes to make performance cars. And my favorite, the GAC Ion Hyper GT, an electric executive sedan that felt like a supercar with how it was put together and how it drove. My time on the cars were short, but one thing is for sure. The fact that all these cars were running around the whole day showed that every GAC had a certain level of durability and reliability comparable to the big brands. We next visited the GAC Motor Technology Museum, where we got a glimpse of where GAC wanted to be in the next few years, a leader in electric vehicles and mobility. Not only were they pushing battery technology, but they are also pushing their design and creativity in forming vehicles that were both familiar but of the future. Now this last part, we don't have much B-roll for respectful reasons, but we did get a chance to spend the whole day visiting their factory here in Guangzhou, China, and the research and development facility. I've had my fair share of factory visits of big car brands across the globe, and I can say that GAC felt no different. As for the research and development facility, imagine putting huge shopping malls together solely dedicated to designing, creating, and researching cars years ahead of our time. But more than the cars and more than the buildings and structures and factories, it's the people behind GAC and GAC Motor brand under Astra Philippines that impressed me the most. During the trip, they never said a word about creating bigger sales or reaching higher numbers. Instead, they spoke about how the customer is always on their mind, from the designing of the vehicles to the building of them, to making sure that their customers are always taken care of, even after buying their products. And as a car owner myself, that is reassuring to hear. Only time will tell how GAC does here in the Philippines, but one thing is for sure, they are off to a good start.